Jellystone is dead. Anyway, so the last season, or is it season 3, part 2? I don't know anymore. The last episodes of Jellystone was just dumped on Max unceremoniously, and with that, it is canceled, as is tradition with streaming shows. They also really messed up the upload. Like the first day these episodes were up, they had all the wrong thumbnails attributed to them. Way to go, Max. Wow, streaming is so great. This is truly the future. Anyway, I kind of just wanted to give Jellystone a proper send-off because this is a show that I have been keeping up with that I have really loved. And I think I just want to talk about some episodes that stood out to me, what I liked about this final batch of episodes. This is a show that only got better as it went on. Every time I thought they were gonna become like creatively bankrupt, they just amped it up and did something more creative. It's a show that really gets me and my sense of humor. It has that anything goes mentality to it, and it's often very meta in a way that's not annoying. I think this is a show that really appeals to both kids and adults. It's just sad to see it go, and I thank C.H. Greenblatt and his creative team for just doing a great job on this. As for now, this is the last Cartoon Network show that I've truly loved until, maybe something else will come along in the future, but we'll see. Time will tell. But going back to the show, let me just talk about a few episodes. Well, the first 2 episodes of this season or whatever was 2 half-hour specials, Snowdodio and Crisis on Infinite Mirths. Snowdodio was kind of the Christmas-themed episode, at least I think that was the intention. Obviously, Christmas has passed, and I would say usually that I live in Minnesota, so there's snow around this season anyway, but due to climate change and stuff, there appears to be no snow right now. But this is an episode that's all about a bunch of snowmen that come to town and puke up snow for winter. And Augie ends up befriending one of the snowmans, but this causes problems in the natural order of things. Just a fun episode. I like that Race Bannon was in it. He plays like a weird, creepy hermit. A bit less deranged, but not too unsimilar to how they treated Johnny Quest in Venture Brothers. I don't know why the Johnny Quest characters are always getting the short end of the stick, but it was fun to see him. And of course, Jellystone being Jellystone, their take on his character is like completely different from how he was in the actual show. But that's something that I've come to expect from Jellystone. I'm so used to it by now. There was also the Walking Eye, which I know it was on a Johnny Quest episode, but I can't see that and not think Venture Brothers.
Look at this walking eye. It's filthy. Guess I should wash off my walking eye.
Now, despite me talking about the consistent changes in characters, the next episode is actually a crossover with a lot of Cartoon Network characters, and Crisis on Infinite Mirths actually decides to keep all of these characters accurate, like down to the art styles being the same. It's a lot more respectful to the source material than I am used to with Jellystone. So this actually played at a comic convention. It had a bit of hype around it, which makes it even stranger that they just, unceremoniously dumped it out how they did. This episode was fine. I was just happy to see Mojo Jojo again. Not really sure how to feel about the romance between him and Cindy Bear. It was definitely a thing. It's also cool to see some Billy and Mandy love. I know there's lots of people that are nostalgic for that show, and I'm always hearing stories about how the higher-ups at Cartoon Network were just really mean to Maxwell Adams, so it's nice to see some respect given. Maxwell Adams being the creator of Billy and Mandy. Anyway, this is what Scoob should have been. It should have been like different dimensions crossing over. That would have just made so much more sense. They even got back a few voice actors, which was, it was a nice treat. They reference all sorts of Cartoon Network shows in this. The one that got the most reaction out of me was probably Two Stupid Dogs. I'm actually just kind of over these crossover episodes. Like, it used to be a big deal, but in this day and age, we see it so often, it's just not really that special anymore. But yeah, it was a fine episode. I just don't have too much to say about it. I like the episode where they go to the movies and they kind of parody, like, James Bond and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Of course, using Secret Squirrel, which was cool to see. And there's like a running joke where Secret Squirrel is just always taking their shirt off, which I thought was kind of funny. I think one of my favorite episodes was Mountain Jumpers. I just really like the episodes with Augie, Yaki, and Shag. I think this episode really highlights how good they are at being kind of trendy and topical without being cringy. That word cringe is probably cringe by now, but that's the best word I can think of. But yeah, they make a fake video where they jump over a mountain on a skateboard and then they end up having to do it for real. I also really like Cindy Bear in this season. I mean, I liked her in the other seasons too, but I just love her sort of like egotistical, self-centered nature. Like, it doesn't feel like she's a doctor out of the kindness of her heart. She's just a doctor because she wants to get constant praise. There's an episode where she joins a book club and she accidentally says choir like Chwire. And of course she gets made fun of for it, and she tells him some lies, and it just turns into this whole ordeal. Exactly what you'd expect from a Jellystone episode. And while I do still enjoy them, I do really like Boo Boo, but I'm not so much a fan of the Yogi and Boo Boo episodes because I don't really like Yogi Bear in this iteration. I think Yogi's just too much of an asshole here. He kind of reminds me of like Patrick Star, but like the later season Patrick Star, where he's just kind of selfish, gluttonous. He's just like all the worst traits in a human being. And the show really likes to play up how slobby he is. There's like an episode where they have to retrieve a chair that he sits in, but the chair's like covered in slime. And there's a whole episode, which I actually really like this one, but where Yogi starts eating out of a trough and it becomes the new like hip trendy thing. And there's this thing cartoons do where I think they just want to make garbage look extra gross, so they just illustrate it like this dark green slime, and it always just looks super disgusting to me. Anyway, another episode that I really like, disregard what I said about the mountain one being my favorite, because this might actually be my favorite. It's an episode where Captain Caveman reveals that he doesn't remember who he was before he was found trapped inside of that ice chunk, and he gets hit on the head and remembers that this whole time he was actually Barney Rubble, which I just love when the show pokes fun at Flintstones. Poking fun at the Flintstones is always funny. Of course, it's not always consistent because there are episodes where Flintstones is like a soap opera or something. So yeah, it doesn't add up, but I mean, who really cares? And I think my favorite part is that every time Captain Caveman flies, instead of screaming Captain Caveman, he goes, Barney Rubble. There's also some Scrappy love in this season. You gotta love some Scrappy love. That's a character that I really like, that I think gets too much hate. Of course, he is playing one of the rivals in a robot fighting match, but he's not like a straight up villain or anything. There's also that running joke in the series, I think it's a running joke, where his face is always seen on the milk carton, so it's a bit strange him just showing up and like, you know, this guy's been missing on a milk carton and nobody's saying anything. So I didn't really expect a big finale for this show. I mean, one, because it's Jellystone, it's not really a show that's heavy on plot, but even then, the last episode just felt like, you know, it was a good episode, but kind of disappointing that it was the last episode. This show actually ends with like half the characters being mixed into marinara, and Huckleberry and Jinx are like pouring a jar and they just come out of the jar, and I don't even know how to explain this. If you've seen the episode, you know what I mean. But yeah, it just felt like it ended there, and I was like, oh, that's it. I don't really know what the point of this video was. There's only so many times I can say that the show is hilarious, but I think I just wanted to show my love and support for it. I have laughed harder at Jellystone than I have at most modern cartoons. Nowadays, whenever a show like this gets canceled, it just makes me sad because I think about all the people involved. I think about how they're gonna have to go and find new jobs. I mean, growing up sucks, but I really am hoping for the best for all of them. They're just very creative, talented people, and I really love this show they made. So that's all for now. Thank you guys for watching this quick video on Jellystone's final season. I hope you all take care, and I'll see you in the near future. Goodbye.